here with you. We are streaming on all the platforms, all the people. I want to know how many of you guys have been here since Monday? How many guys have been here since Monday? Put me. How many guys have been here since Monday? Go ahead, show me. Me. Okay, so how many of you guys have hit 1, 2, 3? You guys who haven't been here like since Monday, how many of you caught? 1, 2, 3, just, I love you too. That's so awesome. How many of you guys just have been to a couple of them? Has everybody been to all of them? Because I don't see 5 days, yes. Really? None of you guys have only been to 1 or 2? That's crazy. 4, 4s and 5s. Wow, you guys are super committed. That's incredible to me. Do you know how many? So I met with the coaching department, and it was interesting because I'm gonna actually share this with my guest today in a few seconds, but there were a couple ways of being that like mindsets that we saw in the coaching department this week. And first and foremost, I just want to say that this group of people, you guys, I'm getting messages, a single mom that went out and sold three coaching packages and now has like cash in the bank, and was really, really concerned on whether or not she could even pay for her house. Right? Like, and then of course, not everybody's in dire straits like that, but I love hearing stories like that because I remember being in a situation right before or right when the real estate market was crashing last time. And I had 3 homes and I was just getting into real estate, and I bought the homes pre-construction. Right. And so I only had to put down a little bit of money, and I got caught in a situation where I couldn't afford them all. Any of you guys get caught in the last real estate scenario? Any of you guys, 08, 09, you got caught? Put yes if you got caught in the last market. Angela says yes. Donna says yes. Awesome. So no shame in that game. I remember going through Starbucks and I was crying, and my stepdad said to me, he said, by the way, my stepdad is loaded. He's very, 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 very wealthy. And he's also had many times where people told him to file bankruptcy, but he wouldn't. He has such high integrity that he would go negotiate himself out of some of the financial challenges that he hit while he was trying to build a business. And today he's very successful. And I remember going through Starbucks and I was getting foreclosure notices, and I just started learning real estate investing. And so I was trying to short sale some of the properties, but the banks were not taking the short sales. And so it's kind of like I got caught in a situation. And as I got caught in the situation, I'm going through Starbucks, still probably ordering my $5 coffee, right? But I can't pay my mortgage. And driving, by the way, a BMW SUV. I should have sold the damn thing. But I was going through Starbucks and I felt like such a loser. And my stepdad said to me, he said, you know, when you're growing wealth, you have so many moments where things go up and down, and what you do in these moments matter. And he shared with me, you know, he gave me a strategy, and I took the strategy. I felt like a complete loser, but I took the strategy and when I made the decision to make some moves in my life financially. I lived with 7 years of bad credit, right? Because I couldn't pay my mortgages at the time. And I was just getting into the real estate game. Remember all of that. And he said, Shanda, the 7 years of bad credit is going to teach you how to become resourceful. And he said, it'll teach you how to create cash, because how many of you guys need to create cash? Put cash in the comment section. Put cash in the comment section if you really want to get good at cash. Like, I'm not just saying like you want to understand. No, you want to get like masterful at it. He said, your opportunities, you're going to get masterful at cash. And he goes, and that's going to serve you for the rest of your life. And when the real estate market comes back, your credit will be good by then. You'll already know how to create cash, and you'll be able to get into the game at a much bigger level. Anyway, all that to say, I went on to sell a lot of real estate, over $100 million in real estate. I told you the other day that I can't even write a real estate contract, right? So I never learned how to write a real estate contract. And the dude in Las Vegas told me to scratch the little bubble because he felt bad for me because I kept failing the real estate test. Okay, so I share all of that with you guys from a humble place, because if I can have $1 million day, you could have $1 million year. You could have $1 million month. Now, I can't give you an income claim because they'll come slap some lawsuit on me. But I can say that I see it all the time when people get hungry enough and they get in the right rooms with the right people, everything changes. When you get in the right rooms with the right people, everything changes. So I'm not going to take real estate advice or wealth advice from my mother if my mother's doesn't have the result I want. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Yes. So now the people in your life, often without meaning to, will hold you back because they just don't understand the calling on your life. Can we set an intention today that you're going to not only create wealth? If you went back to day one, I taught you day one, day two, and day three. I taught you 100% what to do to create cash injections, what to do if you had a product or a service or how to create one. We taught you a little bit about stocks yesterday. I'm not a big stock girl, but I'm definitely buying companies at this point in my life, especially because the formula is buy low, sell high, right? And so anything is learnable. You don't have to be smart. Remember, I was the girl that failed the real estate test multiple times. You don't have to be smart to be able to become a millionaire, a multimillionaire, but you do have to develop some street smarts. You guys all get what I'm saying? Yes? How many guys are street smart? Put street in the comment section. How many guys are street smart? You know you're street smart. Put street in the comment section. Okay, you got it. You got it. We just need to apply it to the right formula. So you got it in the bank too, so that you can make a bigger difference for other people. I never would have guessed that I would be in a situation where I now pay for my mother, I pay for other family members, I take care of their overhead, I take care of their homes. I am moving my mom to Puerto Rico right now. She's gonna love it because she loves the Caribbean, but she doesn't want to rent. Hey, you guys like that? You don't like to rent, right? She doesn't like to rent. She feels unstable without owning her own home. So I kept saying, how many of you guys have been following Shand on Demand for the last 4 months? I'm like, owner finance, owner finance, owner finance, owner finance. Like, I think that there's going to be a huge opportunity. There's always an opportunity for owner finance, but there's going to be a huge opportunity to be able to get into the marketplace because people have some good mortgages that are already set. And last time I checked, the banks are increasing those interest rates, right? Like where a $400,000 or $500,000 home or $350,000 home maybe cost you $1,700 or $2,000 is now pushing $3,700, $4,000. That's a big jump in mortgages, right? And so what if you knew how to do creative financing or lease options and be able to put yourself in a position where you can get, right? I'm starting to see some nods, right? People are like, please, how many of you guys already know how to do that? Put me if you already know. If you already know how to do that, put me, right? How many of you guys are already doing deals like that? If you're putting deals like that, put a I am. If you're already doing deals like that, put I am. Super good to know. Okay, before I bring my guest on, I will tell you that yesterday, my team went and found some people that were really having breakthroughs on the comments. And my assistant's sending $25, $50 cash cards out. The first day we gave $1,000 to someone, right? And so I kind of got in the stocking, what is it called? Stocking stuffer mode yesterday. And so Dawn Carmen, Jordan Aspen, Ramona McDonald, Heather Paranto, and Tanya Anderson. I love Tanya Anderson. She's always commenting on our stuff. I want to make sure that you know that we are going to find you and we are going to get you a little gift card so you can go get your own self a little stocking stuffer. So not for anybody else, but for you. I love stocking stuffers. All right, so I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to say, if you blow up the comments online, share. There's been 1,700, 2,000 comments on one Facebook Live throughout the challenge just yesterday. Then you've got YouTube going. Then you got Facebook group. In the Facebook group, there's 2,000, 3,000 comments on each of these lives. I want to share something with you. Nobody's sharing. Commenting like crazy, but nobody's sharing. So you can't share if you're in a Facebook group. But if you're on other platforms like our Hardcore Business Facebook page, share this live. The law of reciprocity is real. And let's hook some people up today to break the middle class thinking and get them into the right neighborhoods. I'm going to ask for my friend Pace Morby to be brought up. And Pace let me just say, when I got introduced to him, it was because multiple people, Pace, said to me, you got to meet this guy, Pace. He's so generous. He was a part of my success. He was a part of my wealth journey. He really cheerleads women on, by the way. Like, he really cheerleads women on and wants to truly see them succeed. Guys, he cheers you on as well. But it's really cool to see someone who genuinely is in it to win it. And I can't tell you the last time I felt like I needed to up my giving game, as when he told me what he was doing for his clients every week, spending an entire day, 7 hours, I think it's 7 hours, giving and bringing his team and helping people get into the real estate deals and helping them analyze the deals and helping them save on taxes and keep more money in their bank account. I was like, wow, imagine if I was doing that in my community. So I want to welcome Pace Morby to, hi Pace, how are you?
Shanda, how you doing? Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So good. I'm so thankful to have you here. Just, yes, from the generosity aspect, but also because I think one of the best markets for some of us we're going to see in a long time, because some of us are going to time out. And I hate to say it like that, but it's 8-9 years before markets do what markets are doing right now. And so now is one of the easier times for people to be able to get into the market and create like life legacy wealth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so can you give a little bit of history about how you got into this, who you are, and then I'm going to start rattling some questions off to you.
Oh, you want to ask me questions? You don't know me too well. You know, I could go 20 hours straight, guys. So a couple of years ago, I actually did I did a podcast with somebody. It was a real estate podcast, and they wanted to ask me about wholesaling, and I can touch on wholesaling for a little bit, but they wanted me to talk about wholesaling, and I'm known as the creative finance guy, and I go, you know, there's going to be people on this live stream that are going to ask creative finance questions. He goes, yeah, I don't want you to answer any of those. I just want to talk about this one topic. I go, okay, no problem. I can do that. So the whole 2 hours, the whole side chat's blowing up with creative finance stuff because everybody knows me as the creative finance guy. I get houses for free. Got 4 houses free yesterday. If you guys follow me, and I'll walk through how do I do that? What do I do with the houses? How you guys can do that? All that kind of stuff too. I'll jump into all that. And I stressed out this whole time I was on this live with this guy because everybody had all these questions that I was not able to answer. So that Thursday, I just go, you know what, guys, I'm going to go live in my own Facebook group, and I'm going to go live until all the questions are answered. I ended up going 16 hours straight. And then the next week I did 25 hours straight. And the reason why is because somebody in my 16-hour live, I was ending it, he goes, somebody goes, I bet you couldn't go 24 hours straight. So I go, I'll go 25. So I went from 4 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the morning the next day. And I've done that usually 2 to 3 times a year. I'll go 26, 27 hours straight without a drink, literally talk straight, A to Z. What I did the last time is I said, I'll go A to Z and I'll do an hour on every letter of the alphabet, 26 letters of the alphabet for an hour, talking about every aspect of real estate. Like the ABCs, super basic. How do I get into real estate? What about credit? What about credentials? What about cash? I don't have these things. And I'm like, okay, throw all that out the window. Let me show you how to do it, right? So I'm very much a show you how to do it guy, not so much a tell you guys how to do it. I like to show you how to do it live. So my history, for anybody who doesn't know me, I was a contractor for a long time. Anybody know Opendoor, OfferPad, Zillow, big companies? I was their contractor. I would fly around the country and I would set up their construction business to go and do their turns. And I grew. How do you guys think I learned how to be a contractor, by the way? Probably the same way you guys learned to do whatever you're currently doing today. Your parents, right? We all learn from our parents or our environment. Whatever we were doing growing up is ultimately kind of what bumped us into the avenue we fell into. We all believe that our decisions and what we do on a daily basis is all ourselves, but we learn as we get older, oh my gosh, my environment has made me who I am. The people around me have made me who I am. My decisions have made me who I am. I grew up in a household of 12 children, mom and dad still married to this day. So community and hanging out with other people, I'm very much a social creature. I love other people. And so mom and dad, 12 kids, I'm number 3, 11 other siblings. I've changed more diapers than most people have in their life before I even had my own children. And I learned how to be a contractor because that's what my dad did. And when I needed money growing up, I said, Dad, I need $20. He's like, no problem. Saturday, you're with me. You're taping baseboards. You're pulling up carpet. You're doing these things, right? Now, the cool thing is that my parents taught me how to work incredibly hard. In fact, I'm so obsessed with working that it actually, when you get older, it actually becomes a problem, right?
Mhm.
Working hard is not working hard is most people's problems. My problem was I was working too hard and I was exchanging my time for money. Okay. Exchanging time for money. And so I didn't know how to delegate. I didn't know how to hire. I learned from my parents the same as you guys. Anybody have a father who's like, I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
If it's going to be done right, I'm going to do it myself. Right. Like I learned that growing up. And my father is an amazing human being, so no criticism to him. Our job as children of our parents is to honor them by being better than them, right?
Yeah.
And so my dad does want better for me, but he did teach me bad habits, which was trade your time for money. And so, of course, I'm a Mormon dude, so that's my religious background. I go on a mission to Korea for 2 years. That's what we do from 19 to 21. Mormon kids go on their mission, and I learned how to speak, write, and teach in Korean. And I baptized people and I taught people about Jesus, which is like the hardest thing to sell on the planet Earth, especially when you go to a Buddhist country. Like imagine that. Imagine having to learn Korean to then teach Jesus to people who have never even heard of Jesus. Literally, there are people that have never even heard of who Jesus is, right? So crazy, right? And I go and knock 10,000 doors. How many people do you think I baptized knocking 10,000 doors, guys?
I don't know how many.
0, not a single one. Okay. I like Beth says, not 10,000 for sure. Did not. So I knocked 10,000 doors. Here's what it visually looked like. You walk into these high rises. Everybody in Korea lives in a high rise. It's not like 3-story apartment complexes like we have here. It's literally every apartment there is 25 floors or higher. Okay. Because the population is so heavy, right? So I would climb all the way up the stairs and go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and knock doors all day long. Me and my companion never once baptized somebody until about 3/4 of the way through my mission. This is now a year and a half through my mission. I had 0 baptisms. And the reason being is because I was doing what everybody else was telling me to do. Okay. Mm-hmm. I was knocking doors. I was doing what everybody else told me to do. Get out there and work. And, and the average missionary in my mission in Seoul, Korea, baptized 3 people in a 2-year period. And that was considered success. Okay. Yeah. So that's the funny thing is like my whole mission, I thought 3 is successful. So I would make excuses for myself for the first year, right? Anybody making excuses in your business because you're comparing yourself to somebody else's lackluster life and their lackluster success? I was doing that too, because I was shown what the model of success looked like was 3 baptisms in a year, in a time frame, right? So a year into it, I'm like, oh no, I'm good. I got a whole nother year. It's going to happen. I'm going to get better at Korean. I'm going to get better at my pitch. And about 1.5 years through my mission, I'm just deflated. And I find myself literally kicking rocks. Like I'm kicking rocks down the street on my way back to my apartment with my companion. And I had this thought. I go, here's the thing is I'm sitting here trying to throw things down people's throats. And that's not how my parents taught me. My parents taught me how to exchange things, right? So I thought, what do people in Korea want more than anything else? And this is going to tie into what I'm going to talk about with real estate. This is where I learned very valuable things, was thinking about, okay, well, what do Koreans want? Koreans want more than anything to learn how to speak English. Weirdly enough, okay? So what I did is I came up with this idea. I go, here's what I'm going to do. Instead of me going all the way up these apartment buildings and coming all the way down, I'm going to create a sheet literally like this. By the way, here's my congratulations to me and my team. 100,000 on YouTube, pretty cool. Woo! But we would take this sheet and I'd say, we'll teach English for free, 30 minutes of English for free. And I would cut the numbers. You guys have seen this, right? Like, here's my numbers and you cut them all up. Like, call me and I'll teach you 30 minutes of English. And I'm a salesperson. So what I would do is I would also pull a couple of them off to make it look like random people pulled off the tabs, right? So all of a sudden I'm booking appointments and people are finally, after 1.5 years of being in Korea, people are finally letting me in their homes because I finally offered something of value to them. And I also learned, this was interesting, people got baptized not because they believed in religion or anything else. They got baptized because they believed in me. And you guys got to remember, people don't buy businesses, they buy people. And I was offering something and it would open up the door and let them show who I was as a human being and that I wanted to give and give and give. And I was like, wow, this giving thing, this feels great. And I ended up baptizing 81 people in 6 months, and I completely smashed every single record in my mission. And it was because I actually went forward with value. Now, here's the problem, because you learn these things and then you get back into the general public. Like some of you guys will go back to your 9 to 5. Some of you guys will go back to maybe a business partnership that's not working great. The environment that you're in will basically degrade you back to that standard version of yourself. And that's what happened to me, right? I was on this high from my mission, getting awards, people, accolades, all the things. And I get home from my mission, and all of a sudden it was like, well, you got to get to work now. Because as missionaries, we don't make money, right? Now I'm home. I'm 21 years old. It's time to get married, time to buy a house, time to do all these things. So I what did I start doing? I started doing the only thing that my parents ever taught me to do, which was exchange my time for money. And now I put myself back in that environment where creativity was not rewarded, or at least I thought at the time. It wasn't giving myself permission. I wasn't around anybody. And I wasn't around anybody that didn't believe anything other than exchanging time for money. That's what my problem was. And I jumped into being a contractor. And I jump into that whole world. And when I wanted to make more money, I would go to my father and I would say, Dad, I want to make money. I want to make more money. And what do you guys think my blue collar father would give me as advice? And still to this day, he still would give me the same advice. There, boom, Kathy, my girl. Yes, you got to work harder. Man, don't you know there's 24 hours in the day? There's 24 hours in the day. Work harder. I'm like, Dad, I don't think you need to teach this hardworking Eagle Scout guy to work any harder. 4.0 GPA. I don't need somebody to tell me how to work. I got that done. That was like tying my shoes. Okay. If somebody has to tell you how to work hard at this level of the game, you got a problem. You got a mindset problem. I don't have that problem, Dad. And that was my problem growing up. My dad would always tell me. And then I would hire people. And you know what I would do is I would sabotage every person I freaking hired, because that's what my dad did.
I totally know what you're going to say, but keep going.
I sabotaged every relationship because I was told to do everything myself. Everything that I believed I would manifest. I would say, oh, this person's going to steal from me. Guess what? They'd steal from me. It was like I was creating the environment, right? It's like the words that were being shoved into my brain, right? You guys want to hear a really creative way if somebody stole from me? So genius. Don't do this, but it's a smart one. This girl, her name was Amanda. I finally was like, okay, my construction business is getting pretty sizable, right? And I need to offload to a bookkeeper. So I offload to a bookkeeper. She, after like 3 or 4 months, she's like, man, this guy trusts everybody. That's one of my big problems. I literally just only see the good in people. I had these subcontractors work for me, right? I had this guy named Jose Ramirez, pretty standard name in the Hispanic community. She went out on Craigslist and found another Jose Ramirez and went to him and said, hey, I'm writing checks to this other Jose Ramirez right now all the time for Pace's construction company. I'm going to start writing checks to you, but I'm going to make it look like it's this other subcontractor. And I'm going to start spreading these checks on multiple jobs. Oh man, she was getting me for like 30 grand a month. I was like, what the freak is going on to my P&L?
Wow, that's crazy.
She would meet this other fake Jose. And ironically, when I found out this was going on, I'm like, no way, Jose. So she would take him to the check cashing place, and the check cashing place called me and they go, this girl's been coming in here for like 4 months. We've been making good money on the 8%, 12% check cashing fee, but I think we should probably make you aware that this girl keeps coming in. They walk out of the store immediately and split the cash evenly, and they go their own separate ways. There's something weird going on here. Okay, guys, I created that environment by the words and the fact that I put that all together. I was like, somebody's going to steal from me. Somebody's going to steal from me. Somebody's going to steal from me. Okay.
So crazy.
But really smart. Like,
Pace,
wow.
I gotta ask you some questions on this because, or we're gonna go 16 hours.
I'm telling you, I will go.
I know,
long.
but you are incredible at this, and we're walking in this market. How does somebody get over this idea, Pace? First of all, like not believing somebody would own or finance a home.
Okay, so let me. I'm so close to there. Okay. So I mean, I have this environment. I'm not super happy, right? I'm making a lot of money. In 2014, I took home $1 million just from my construction company. Like money was not an issue for me. It was freedom, time with my wife, et cetera, all of those types of things. And also I didn't feel like I was really actually helping anybody. I was just making money, right? I was employing people, not changing lives. And this lady comes to me. Okay. This lady comes to me. Her name's Bethany Willis. She puts her hand on my shoulder, and she was a client of mine. I was flipping houses for her. Okay. That's what I was doing as a contractor. A lot of what I was doing is flipping houses for other people. And she comes to me, she goes, "Why are you not in real estate?"
Mm.
And I go, I am in real estate. And she goes, no, I'm in real estate. You're a service provider and you work for me. You're not in real estate. You are so easy to replace that a Google search could replace you. You are not a real estate investor. Real estate agents are not real estate investors. Mobile notaries are not real estate investors. Title companies are not. You are a service provider. And I had this like massive epiphany. I was like, oh my gosh, but I don't. And she just like, I turned white as a ghost. And she says, "Why aren't you doing this? I'm going to ask you again, why are you not doing this?" And I said, "Because I guess I don't know where all the money comes from. I don't know how I guess I don't know how this really works." She's like, "You have figured out the hardest part of flipping houses and owning real estate is the construction and managing contractors. And you are missing 1%. And then she broke it down and she says, "The number one thing that you're missing is your belief in yourself." She said, "You built a company to literally flip houses for other people because you believed in other people's success before you believed in your own success." And I was like, show me. So this is what happens. She literally sits me on the back of my truck and she opens up my phone and she says, "I want you to send out postcards. How much money do you have?" I don't send postcards. I'll tell you guys how we get free houses now without spending any money. But at the time, she says, spend $5,000 and it'll send out 10,000 postcards. And I was like, "But how do I know where to send the postcards?" And she says, "Shut up. You're being an asshole." I'm being a what? She says, "You're being an asshole. You're asking questions. You're not taking action." And I'm like, "Okay, all right, got me." So I spend the $5,000, sends out 10,000 postcards. Guys, I got three phone calls from my postcards, right? The postcards are like, "I'll buy your house," right? You guys have all seen these postcards, right? So I get 3 phone calls. Guess what happens? I missed the first 2 because I was so busy being a freaking contractor. I couldn't even pick up the damn phone of the greatest opportunity of my lifetime. I pick up the 3rd phone call. My 3rd phone call is my first deal I ever did. Okay. And this story is very, very important. I know I'm a long-winded kind of person, but I'll be very quick with it. My first appointment I go up to, just like Shonda just said, she did $3 million in real estate or $100 million in real estate, doesn't even know how to fill a contract out. Crazy. That's what happened to me. I get a call from a lady named Janie Munson. She says, "My name's Janie. I have lived in this house for nearly 40 years. I'm a school teacher and I'm retiring to Oregon and I haven't renovated the house in 40 years. It's not ready for the market. And every real estate agent keeps telling me," okay? Every real estate agent keeps telling me, "You need to clean up your house or else I can't sell it on the market." I don't have money for that. I'm a retiring school teacher. I have a little pension. This is what I need. I need an investor to come in and buy this house cash. I go, "Okay, makes sense," right? So I called Bethany Willis. Remember, Bethany's the one that made me send the postcards, and she called me an asshole. She said, "Take action." So I called Bethany, go, "What do I do?" And she goes, "Go to the freaking appointment, you idiot. What do you like? What? Why are you even calling me? I want to help you, but you got to call me and ask me the obvious?" Okay. I drive up to the appointment following Thursday. I knock on the door, talk to Janie, build rapport as you do. And I noticed one of the most important things in my real estate career. This is what I noticed. I looked on her countertop and I saw 15 other real estate agent cards. I saw 25 other postcards. I saw she's being hammered with competition. And I asked her a very important question. I said, "Why haven't you sold the house? What's kept you from selling the house? Obviously you don't have any lack of options." And she says, "Well, I got an offer at 165 and I need higher than that." Well, guys, here's the problem. When I called Bethany and I said, "I'm going to the appointment," Bethany told me to not pay over $150,000 for this house. So now I got a problem. And when you're brand new, that $15,000 difference might as well be $20 million. Okay. So this is what I learned. Guys, this is the greatest story I could ever tell you about real estate. And I'll jump into a lot of creative finance stuff. Got plenty of time for that. I promise I'll be very succinct, but this buildup is very important. So I listened to 165 and it's like Mount Everest size problem. I can't overcome $15,000. Like, what, you know? And so I tell Janie, I go, I can't help you. 165 is too high for me. I'm so sorry. And she says, no, you're trying to bully me into a lower number. I go, no, I'm not. I promise you. And I really am not. I can't help you. She goes, well, what's your number? And I said, I don't want to offend you with the number. It's dramatically lower than at 165. I can't get you anything close to that. And not only do I not want to beat you up, I think you deserve more, right? You're a school teacher. You worked your guts out for 40 years. I loved all my school teachers, and you deserve every penny of this house. It's going to be part of your retirement. She's like, wow, you're the only person that ever said that. Everybody else is beating me up about the house. Okay, thank you. I go, so I guess I'll leave now. That was literally all I could do. I did nothing. I knew nothing but to leave. And as I'm walking out the front door, I stop, I turn, and I go, I do something my mom taught me is no matter what happens, always find a way to help somebody, right? The Good Samaritan, biblical stuff, right? Good Samaritan. And so I turn around and I go, look, I'm a contractor. I got a lot of guys. I could help you load trucks, whatever you need. Is there anything I can do to help you besides buying the house? And she says, I'm so confused. You don't want to help me by buying the house, but you want to spend money on your guys and your labor. I go, well, that's easy. I can do that, right? It'll show up on my P&L, but I won't notice it. And she's like, what are you, a freaking scout or something? I go, yeah, I'm an Eagle Scout. And she's like, oh my gosh, this freaking guy, right? And she goes, well, I do have a major problem. And she stops and she pauses for a moment. She goes, do you really want to help me? I go, yeah, I really want to help you. So she pulls me to the back of her house. She opens up her sliding glass door and she shows me her big problem. Her big problem was, no joke, 3 massive bunnies. I'm not exaggerating. This was her problem. 3 massive bunnies, size of a 4-year-old child. There's a type of bunny that's massive. I go, okay, how is this your problem? And she says, my granddaughter gifted them to me. I've basically raised them as my own. I can't take them to Oregon. And this is what's kept me from making a decision. Right. And so some of you guys out here, there you go. Flemish Giants. That's the name of the bunnies. She had 3 Flemish Giants in the back of her yard. And some of you guys have clients that are going to come on looking at your coaching product, looking at whatever it is that you're selling, and they're going to have some of these bunnies in the back of their mind that are keeping them from making a decision. So this was a very valuable lesson for me. I go, really, that's it? She goes, yeah, I just need somebody to rehome them. So this is what I did, guys. I pulled up my cell phone. I called my mom on speaker and I go, hey mom, I'm a grown ass man by this time, by the way. And I'm calling my mom and I go, hey mom, here's the situation. 45 minutes later, my mom shows up in a red truck. I've never seen this red truck in my life. Still to this day, I don't know where this red truck came from. My mom loads these Flemish bunnies into the back of this truck and she takes off. She tells Janie as she's leaving, oh, this is really cute. Pace has always loved his teachers. And this is awesome to see Pace helping another teacher. Have a great day. My mom takes the bunnies, takes them to her little farm, and then she goes and helps rehome them. And Janie is like flabbergasted. And I go, all right, I guess I'll see you later. And she again thinks at any moment I'm going to manipulate her into selling me at a lower price the whole entire time, no matter how much I was helping her. She'd been calloused by everybody else taking advantage of her whole life. She was calloused. So 2 weeks later, I get a call from Janie. Okay. One of the most important calls in my life. Janie Munson calls me up and she says, Pace, I'm a school teacher. I had a homework assignment to make a decision to sell this house today. And I made the decision. I'm selling the house to you. And I'm like, Janie, I have no idea how to come up with that kind of money. I can't pay that kind of money. She says, Pace, out of 15 people before you and 15 people after you, you were the only person that cared about me. You're the only person that found my bunnies. That was the major decision that was the major thing keeping me from making a decision to move on with my life was these bunnies. And it was like this subconscious thing that you somehow pulled out because you cared about me. I'm selling my house to you. And I go, I haven't even given you a number. And she says, I don't care what the number is. I trust you. Come up to the house, bring the paperwork. Shonda says she didn't know how to fill out paperwork. Either did I. I called somebody else. They brought me up to the house, filled out the paperwork. It was Bethany Willis. Bethany Willis, the same lady that forced me to send out those 5,000 postcards. Okay. She goes up to there, gets the contract. Bethany ends up buying the house from me. So I wholesaled it. So I got it for $150, wholesaled it to Bethany for $175. I made $25,000. And I was sitting there at the closing table on this deal, like basically crying. I can't believe that this was even a possibility for me. And Bethany Willis, she says, Pace, as long as you continue to find people's bunnies, you will dominate this game. Because the game of real estate is always about finding people's bunnies. Now here, let me jump into the creative finance side. Limiting belief, first and foremost. All these things were limiting beliefs. Remember, I was sending out this $5,000 worth of postcards. I had 30 phone calls that came in that month. Okay, 30 phone calls, people looking at my postcards. About 15 of them I couldn't help. Why? Either A, they wanted too much money, right? They go, I have no pain. I'm not in a rush. I want $1 million for my $1 million house. Okay, that's justified in my mind, and I would hang up the lead. Yeah, I can't do anything with that. Another person would say, Pace, I don't have any equity. I'm in foreclosure. Something's going on. I go, oh, well, if you don't have equity, well, how can I make money? Right? And that was my thought. But the day I cashed that $25,000 check, I had an escrow officer. Okay. It always seems to be women that are always helping me out, by the way. I had this escrow officer. Her name is Eileen Brown. And Eileen says, Pace, I never saw somebody jump into real estate and do so well. And I told her the story about the bunnies. And she's like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Congratulations on the $25,000 check. And escrow officer is the person that handles all the paperwork and makes sure you get paid on a real estate deal. And she says, so what about all these other leads? Like, when are you going to open up another file with me? I go, well, I have a problem. A lot of the other leads I have don't have equity, or they want too much money. And she says, that's easy. That's easy. Why don't you take over their payments subject to on one? And I'm like, I don't even, subject what? What? Submarine? What are you talking about? I had no idea what she was talking about. And she explained to me what subject to was. She said, there are people out there that have house payments that, let's say, for example, here, I'll do a little whiteboard with you guys real quick. I have a deal that I bought yesterday. Here's a really good example. Okay. I bought this deal. Seller name is Brooke. Okay. So Brooke sold me her house. She bought it for $400,000 last year. She got an interest rate of 3.25%. And she buys it in Texas City. She decides, I don't like Texas City. Okay. You guys want to see the cute? I'll pull up the cute house. I'll show you guys the text message with her agent. What does she do? She buys this house through an agent named Ryan, friend of hers, whatever. She buys the house. She decides a year later, I don't like Texas City. I want to be closer to Houston, like in the heart of Houston. So she goes back to Ryan. Okay. And she goes, hey, Ryan, will you sell this house for me? Problem is, she bought it for 400 last year. If she sold it today for 400,000, would she walk away with 400,000? No. The cost to sell a house in the United States costs about 10%. Why? Why does it cost 10%? Because you got 3% to one agent, 3% to another agent, and you have another 4% or so for closing costs, inspections, all of those types of things. So you've got about a 10%. And who pays for that? The seller always pays for those costs. So she would walk away for a house she bought for $400,000 last year. She would walk away with $360,000. Major problem, guys. The problem she has is that she owes $390,000 on the house. So if she owes $390,000 on the house, do you think she's excited about writing a check for the $30,000 difference? Or give me a yes if you guys are following me on this. Okay, so this is easy. This is the easiest transaction of my life. These types of deals, I gobble up these deals every single day. This is called subject to. What I do is I go to Brooke, or I go to Ryan. Ryan's the agent. I said, let me take over the payments. Right? She has a bank is Chase. Let me just make the payments. She goes, wait, hold on. You can buy my house and I can walk away from it without writing a check for 30 grand? And you just take over my payments? I go, yep, it's called subject to. It's been around for over 100 years. I can take it right over right now. I can make the payments and you can walk away from the house. She's like, but how? How is that physically possible? Man alive, I wish I learned this 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I'd be worth another 100 million friggin' dollars, legitimately. I said, well, here's the magical thing. Now ask yourself this question. I'll teach you guys what subject to is here in just a second, if you guys don't already understand it. It is simply the process of buying something and taking ownership, like the deed, okay? And not having to assume or even apply for the debt. I just make payments. Okay. How does she get money? Chris Cunningham, this is a great question. If you remember, Chris, she was about to write a check for $30,000 to sell the house. I just told you she saved $30,000 by letting me take over the mortgage. Now, Christina says, with interest rates going up, aren't mortgage rates going up? Yeah, but I'm not getting a new mortgage. I'm taking over her existing mortgage. She has an existing mortgage of 3.25%. I'm taking it over without a credit check, without an application. Nobody looks at my bank balance. Nobody looks at anything. Okay. Lady Jane says, most banks have a clause that will call all monies due on the current mortgage. It's called the due on sale clause or the acceleration clause. I've done over 5,000 transactions. Oh, I love this. Kaisa says, how is that possible? Okay, let's ask this question. Okay. By the way, yeah, you can do it in the UK. You can do it in Canada. You can do it everywhere. Beth says, my brain is breaking. I've barely started. Okay. So check this out. You guys go to anybody go to the grocery store and pay for your groceries with American Express? Anybody? Give me a yes. Capital One, American Express. Okay, cool. So is this my money? Whose money is this? This is not my money. This is American Express's money. Okay. So if you guys have questions about this, like Stanley, I'd love to talk to you guys about it. Okay. Or we could talk about it maybe in the VIP section. I could stay late and chat with you guys about this. Okay. I could literally go hours. So let's say I go into the grocery store, right? I take my groceries, put them there. Lady tells me the total. I pull out my American Express, which is not my money. It's not my money. And I get the groceries and I start walking out. Do I own those groceries, even though I use somebody else's money to buy them? How do you know? You guys are telling me that I use somebody else's money and I'm the owner of those groceries? Really? Possession means nothing because my tenants possess my properties. My tenants live in my properties. The way that I know I'm the owner, guys, is because the receipt has been given to me. The receipt has been given to me. I'm the owner. Do we all agree with that? Okay, so hold on a second. Can we agree that the receipt and ownership of those groceries and the debt that I have now with American Express are two completely different things? Give me a yes if you understand these are two completely different things. Well, guess what? The receipt of real estate is called a deed, and the debt of real estate is called a mortgage. They are not linked at all. Not only do I own a title company in almost every state, I have done over 5,000 of these transactions with attorneys, with people that used to work for HUD. So when you hear an agent or a broker or a title company ever tell you that's not possible, all they're really telling you is that they're uneducated and inexperienced. Okay? So, yes, really. There's not a state in the country I have not done this in. Okay? This year, listen to me, this year I bought $250 million in real estate without a single credit check, without a single application. And the house that I live in right now, I bought for $3 million, subject to, took over somebody else's debt at 2.75% interest. I had like $1,000 in my bank account the day I closed it. Nobody asked to see how much money I had in my bank account. Okay. Now I could do a ton of Q&A on this, tons and tons of Q&A, but that's subject to. And when Eileen Brown told me this, Eileen Brown was the title agent, remember, when I was going through all these leads, and she says, oh man, you could find way more bunnies if you used creative finance. And all of a sudden I went back to every lead that I thought was a dead lead, and I started changing the game. And because I understood that the game of real estate is finding other people's bunnies, and now I knew how to actually solve those problems when I found the bunny. Lack of equity, a seller wants too much money. Here's another one. How much time do I have? Shonda's like, pace, please stop.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I love it. I mean, when I learned this stuff, my whole life changed. So it's so good. So good.
So that's called subject to. Okay. There's an existing debt. Okay. Let me tell you what seller finance is so you guys can truly understand seller finance. I'm going to tell you two very quick stories. Okay. I have a brand new camera guy on my YouTube team. His name's Jose. I don't know why I have all these Jose's, but I do have a lot of Jose's. So Jose comes to me and he's in my office. This is maybe like 3 months ago. And he goes, I'm finally working for the sub 2 guy. I do so many sub 2 deals, these deals I told you about, taking over other people's debts. Okay. And I do it so much that everybody calls me the sub 2 guy. In fact, the legal term for this is called subject to, or everybody abbreviates this to sub 2. And I own sub2.com. I am the sub 2 guy in the country. I do more than anybody. I teach about it. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask you one question on this?
Yeah.
Just to make sure it's really clear for everyone, because I think everybody's mind's blown on that,
Yeah.
that's possible. But
Yeah.
why do you like that deal for some people that are sitting there going, but Pace, you just paid, like now you're gonna have a market where properties dropped, right? And people paid
Guys,
this.
write this down.
Explain the deal.
Write this down. The only people that care about equity when you're buying real estate are inexperienced real estate investors. They think equity is where the value is. The value of real estate is not the equity. Do you guys go down to the grocery store and buy groceries with your equity card? Is there equity sitting on my card that I can go and spend? No, equity for the most part is locked up in a piece of real estate. The main reason we buy real estate, I'll give you the 6 reasons. Let me do a little screen share for you. Here's the 6 reasons why we buy real estate. By the way, even if you're not equipped to buy real estate and hold it, remember, you can always find these opportunities and sell them to people like me and get an assignment fee, 25, 50. This year I paid $3 million in assignment fees for people bringing these deals to me. One person, a big apartment building, I bought an apartment building, this exact strategy, $0 down to the seller, but the person that brought the deal to me made $210,000 just bringing the opportunity to me. It's called an assignment fee. They get the contract, right? They get the contract with the seller that says they're going to do X, Y, and Z. And I go, I'll buy that contract and I'll pay you a fee for that contract. It's called an assignment fee. They're assigning the rights of their contract to me. Okay. Are you doing this nationwide? Yes. I am the biggest person in the nation for this. We even have a TV show about it on A&E. Like this is my paycheck. It says Disney on it. I'm well known. This is not like a secret. This is, people know me. You know what I'm saying? Disney knows me. They pay me a check every week. Okay. Yes. People do it in Europe. People do it in Canada. People do it in Mexico. Yes. 100%. In Canada, it's called a skip transfer. Okay. So let me tell you why I buy real estate. Write this down. Equity comes and equity goes, but the cash will always flow. If you guys are buying real estate based on equity, you'll never be a real estate investor because equity gets paid down by my tenant. Pay attention to this. Every time I see a human being in a football stadium or at Walmart or at Disney or anywhere, big, massive swaths of people, I look at that, every single one of those people, I go 30%, 30%, 30%, 30%, 30%, 30%, 30%. Why? Because the average tenant takes 30% of their income and pays down my debt. 30% of their income pays down my debt. I don't pay off my debts. An army of tenants who don't even know my name pay off my debts. Think about that. This is why debt is so powerful. It's powerful. The only person that teaches not to have debt is Dave Ramsey, and he has a $35,000 course of why debt's not good. So always pay attention to who's teaching you and what they're charging you for. Look at every billionaire you'll ever meet in your life, every billionaire, everybody that's worth over 10 million bucks is always leveraging other people's money. And Shonda's saying there's 50 ways to find money. Guys, I'm just giving you 51. Okay. So check this out. Okay. So screen share. Here's 6 reasons why real estate investors buy real estate. Number 1, cash flow. Okay. So what I do is I'll take that property in Texas City and I'll actually turn that property in Texas City into a traveling nurse home. Okay. Why a traveling nurse home? It's not my main strategy. It's one of the strategies I use to cash flow. But the reason why I'm using traveling nurses is because Airbnb is getting hit right now. Right. And so you fluctuate, you change with the market. So I go put that house as a traveling nurse house or a corporate rental, right? Those types of things. I have a lot of sober living houses, helping people that are battered women that were displaced from their home from an abusive husband. I house a lot of those women. The government pays me for their bed. There are so many ways to make money in real estate. It is redonkulous. It's hard for me to even describe it in a 45. This is why I told Shonda, I was like, you only want me for 45 minutes. Give me 20 hours. Give me 20 hours. So number one, cash flow. Okay. Cash flow. I don't buy real estate. Write this down. I don't buy real estate. I buy cash flow. Okay. Equity comes, equity goes. The cash always flows. Number one, cash flow. Number two, appreciation. Okay. I want to own real estate because as that property, $400,000, it is proven that real estate only over time goes up. Only. Okay. Now it will do this over time, but it always is trending upwards. Always. Okay. Number two is appreciation. So I think about all the properties I bought this year, 250 million bucks just this year. Okay. In 10 years, that'll be worth $700 million. And the majority of the debt will be paid down. And the cash flow that I picked up is pretty powerful as well, right? Pays all the bills for sure. Guys, you guys want to change lives? You got to make life-changing money. I gave away $100,000 this morning. Gave away, look at my Instagram. I gave $100,000 away today. That's what cash flow does for you, okay? Heather says, are you only purchasing stick-built homes? I own mobile home parks, apartment buildings, commercial complexes, storage facilities, and a lot of single-family homes. So that's the second reason why we buy real estate. The third reason we buy real estate, this is powerful for all these big income earners, is depreciation or tax benefits. I have not paid taxes in the last 7 years. Now, I pay a lot of income. I pay a lot of employment tax. I pay consumption tax. I pay property tax, but I don't pay the Fed income rate, right? I have not paid Fed income tax in 7 years because I own real estate, okay? So depreciation and tax benefits. So for that one $400,000 house, check this out. This is mind-boggling to me because I see other people go make $100,000 and they pay $30,000 to the IRS. I go make $10, $20 million. I pay zero to the IRS. How is that fair? Well, it's fair because I followed the IRS. They say, if you buy real estate and you help us with affordable housing in the country, we will give you tax deductions. Really? Okay, I'm going to buy as much real estate as I possibly can. Thank you so much. And if I can buy real estate with no money out of my pocket, then all my other income that I'm making from my virtual assistant businesses or my fix and flip businesses or my title and escrow businesses, my lending businesses, I make all of that money tax-free because I took over people's mortgages over here. It's powerful, okay? So that lady, Brooke, the deal that we just did, here's how it mathematically, you guys don't mind if I fry some brains. I'm trying to go as fast as I possibly can. That $400,000 house, okay, here's how you figure out your tax benefits. You divide it by 27.5. I didn't make up that number. The IRS did. Take that $400,000, divide it by 27.5, okay, 27.5. I tell people when they go, Pace, how do I make more money? I go, step one, stop paying the IRS. You'll double your income immediately, okay? So $400,000 divided by 27.5. That means that this year alone, if I decided to do so, I could take a $14,545 deduction, okay, or incentive on my taxes just this year alone, and I could do that 27.5 years straight, every single year. Now, what's cool is there's this thing called accelerated depreciation where I could actually, and I wish I could talk to you guys about this for hours, I could take 7 of those years up front. Let's multiply that by 7. Okay, 14,545 times 7 equals $101,815. So that means somebody that made $101,000 this year in your other businesses, you would pay $0 in taxes this year because you bought that one house from Brooke. There's a lot more reasons to buy real estate than equity, and equity is never the reason why I buy real estate. Okay. So that's what number is that? Number 4. Okay. So cash flow, appreciation, depreciation. Number 4, this is major. I already told you guys this one. Number 4 is pay down. This is the silent wealth builder. I have all these tenants. Okay. If you decide you want to be the deal finder, remember the people who find these deals and bring them to me, you get paid a chunk of money today. You get no cash flow, you get no appreciation, you get no depreciation, nothing. But you could get a chunk of money by finding these deals if you're not equipped to own real estate. I'm equipped to own real estate, okay? So what's cool is I now have an army of tenants out there, an army of them that 30% of their income actually goes down to pay down my mortgages. They're 30% of their income. And you might, how do you find these deals? I'll show you in just a minute. You know, I'm thorough. I'll be the most thorough human being you'll ever meet in your life. You want to know why? Because I'm a contractor. I have to have a blueprint to build anything. I can't build anything without a blueprint. I'll give you the freaking blueprint. You hang out with Shonda, I'll freaking give you the blueprint. Okay. And what I told her, I was like, hey, I'm so happy about our new relationship. This is what I told her. I said, for any of your people, I don't know the whole world, and I don't know what kind of product she has, but whatever she has going on, whether it's a digital product, a mastermind, whatever, I will give you guys, I'll give you a weekly training for 2 months. I'll spend 2 hours with you for 2 months if that's what she wants me to do. I will do whatever she wants me to do. Yes, Sarah, I'll help you in Canada. Okay. So now the fifth reason we buy real estate is leverage. Okay. Leverage is pretty powerful. And leverage means that as my equity grows, right? Let's say I buy this house for $400,000 today. In 5 years, that property is worth, let's say it's worth 600,000. Okay. But my tenants have paid it down to 300,000. See this big gap right here called equity, 300K? I actually don't pull that money out. What I do is I leverage against it, and I'll go start other businesses. I'll get lines of credit against this $300,000, and I have a powerful 300 grand that just sits there, but I use it as leverage. I could talk about that for literally a full day if you wanted me to. And
oh my gosh, we have to have another conversation about that.
Yeah. So this final reason, okay? Final reason I buy real estate is because it allows me to tell stories that teaches you guys how to make more money. I buy houses sometimes just to tell you a story, because the agent couldn't sell the house. The seller couldn't sell the house. Now, here's the thing. I'll show you. I'll do a little screen share with you. I don't know if I have the screen sharing or co-host capabilities, but I got agents begging me, okay? Check this out. That house. Let's see here. Oh, but guys, check this out. This is what's freaking cool about real estate. You guys, does anybody know who this human being is right here? I really going to be hard for people to guess this, I think. Okay. Anybody know the band Outkast, the rap group from Atlanta? Okay. So this is Big Boy, right? So let's see, where's my other part of the deal? I guess my camera's not over there, but so that's Big Boy. I manifested this 2 years ago. I said, Big Boy is one of my, Outkast was my favorite band, right? Great storytelling abilities. And I manifested, I had somebody paint this massive mural. It's huge. You can't tell, this is like 20 feet behind me. It's really, really big. And I manifested, I said, I'm going to have Big Boy in the back of me to remind me that my job is to tell stories all day long to help change people's lives. And one day I'm going to own real estate with Big Boy. One day. And so somebody, his manager, sees me on YouTube and sees Big Boy in the background. He goes, dude, this guy's got you in his background. Okay, fast forward. Guess who owns 264 units with Big Boy as of literally 2 hours ago? I now own 264 units on seller finance from Big Boy. It's called manifesting, baby, and putting your freaking your work in. Okay, so powerful, very, very powerful stuff. I want to tell one last story. I know she's got a VIP thing. One last story for you to understand seller finance. Okay, I told you subject to, that's taking over somebody's debt. But what if somebody has their house paid off? What if somebody has a ton of equity in their house, right? And they're like, well, I want that equity. Well, I bought this year alone, I bought 600 multifamily doors, all on seller finance. Most of it was $0 down. I'll tell you why somebody would do that here in a second. So around town, I'm known as the guy that's creative. People fly me all over the country. I will stay for VIP for sure, guys. 100% I'll stay for VIP. I don't know what her plan is for VIP, but if you guys have questions, maybe I'll answer a couple if she lets me. She probably has a plan. I always warn people, if you bring me into your lives, I just end up hijacking stuff for a good 30, 40 minutes. I'm so sorry. Has this been helpful, guys? Have you guys at least seen some possibilities and some cool stuff? Anybody learned a couple things? Tell Shonda this has been helpful, because I don't want her yelling at me after the live.
I won't yell at you, please.
Okay, so last story. This is really simple, okay? So I get people to call me. This has been a long time. Wholesalers, real estate agents, other investors, fix and flippers, they call me and they go, Pace, I've got a lead, okay? I've got a lead and I don't know what to do with it. They want too much money. I go, okay. When somebody wants too much money, it's like my favorite lead of all time. It's a laydown. It's a freaking laydown. So I go to this appointment. The investor's name is Tim. I go to this appointment. I meet Dale and Susan in their living room, and I'm sitting there talking to them about this property. And I go, so what, catch me up to speed, Tim, what's going on? And Tim says, well, I was talking to Susan and she wants $110,000 for this house. I want you guys to write down some of these numbers. Okay. She wanted $110,000 for this house. And I go, okay, cool. So I pull it up, I look on Zillow, and Zillow says $100,000. Cool. So great. That's a problem. Every other real estate investor would look at that and go, I need to buy at a deep, deep discount. Oh, all right. What you guys consider a discount and what I consider a discount are two completely different things. Okay. So I look at that number and I'm like, okay, cool. And so this is what I do. I go, so Susan, I imagine you're probably talking to other investors. And she goes, yeah, I've talked to a lot. And I go, I imagine they're probably offering you somewhere around $40,000, $50,000 for this $100,000 house. And she says, yeah. How do you know? I go, because that's what I would offer if I was going to offer you cash as well. Pay attention to what I just did there. I just converted the conversation from cash to terms without her even knowing it. And she says, what do you mean? If you were going to offer cash, you would give me 40 to 50. I go, well, it's obvious that you're not going to take 40 or 50 because I would offer that too. If I was going to fix and flip the property, I got to buy it for 40. Then I got closing costs. Then I got renovation. Then I got this and I got to pay agents and this, that, and the other. And I might walk away making 15 grand. And that would be worth my time. But it doesn't make sense for me to buy a $110,000 house that could be worth $100,000 according to Zillow. I would lose money. And she says, okay, well, if you're not going to offer me cash, then what would you offer me? And I said, Susan, if I were able to come up to your number, if I were able to come up to your number of $110,000, would you be willing to give me terms? Now, do you think she even has a freaking clue what terms means, guys? No, she has no clue. And most of you guys in here don't know what terms are either. So let me tell you what terms are in the simplest possible way. So Susan says, I don't even know what that means, terms. I go, well, let me tell you something. I used to be a contractor, and this is me now talking to Susan. So I said, Susan, I used to be a contractor. So happy I'm not anymore. But I had this F-150, and this F-150, which everybody knows what an F-150 is. Even people in Ireland, you know what an F-150 is. It's the number one selling truck of all time, the Ford F-150. So I had an F-150. It hit 320,000 miles. And I didn't say it was a Toyota. I said it was a Ford. So at 320,000 miles, Susan, I started having some problems with it. And so what I decided to do is I decided to go to the Zillow of cars. What's the Zillow of cars, everybody? KBB. Isn't that funny? Kelley Blue Book. So I went to Kelley Blue Book and I went on there just like you did, Susan. You went on to Zillow and you found out this house was worth 100. So you just belligerently decided I want 110. She goes, well, I knew people would lowball me. I'm like, okay, got it. Fair. So I did the same thing. I took that 320,000 mild Ford F-150, went on Kelley Blue Book. Kelley Blue Book says my truck is worth $5,000. All right. Well, that truck is not worth $5,000 to me. It's worth more than that to me. So what I did is the same thing you did. I went on Craigslist and I listed my truck at $10,000. Susan, do you think I ever got an offer on that $10,000? She goes, probably got some angry people. I go, no, but it was so high. I was so belligerent, just like you are. And yes, I did call her belligerent. I said, nobody even called me to chew me out. I was so high. Literally double the price. And if I did put this on Craigslist for 5,000, do you think I would have sold it for 5,000, Susan? She's like, no, somebody would have lowballed you. I go, exactly. Somebody would have lowballed me, just like you're getting lowballed at $40,000, $50,000 for your house. She says, okay, so what did you do? And I go, well, after 3 months, it wasn't what I did. It's what my wife did. My wife came to me and I was in my office and she goes, hey, sweetheart, that truck's been on Craigslist for 3 months. You haven't got a call. Is there any way you can lower the price? I'm like, hell no, I'm not lowering the price. That truck is worth way more to me than that $5,000. I'm not going to negotiate. And she goes, well, aren't you the creative finance guy? Like, couldn't you just take payments for the truck? I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. So I go back to Craigslist. I literally changed one thing, Susan. I said, F-150 will take payments. Guys, I had to turn that ad off in like 10 freaking minutes. I had 30, 40 people calling me, texting me. I had somebody that was like Googling where I lived. He was trying to like reverse skip trace where I lived, trying to find out where that truck was. He's like, I'll run cash over to you right now. And what cash did he mean? I was asking for $1,000 down payment. So did I finally get an offer on that truck for $10,000? And did I sell that truck for $10,000, Susan? She says, yeah. I go, no, I sold it for $12,500 with $1,000 down payment. And I let that person, his name was Jose as well. Jose made $350 payments to me for 4 years. And how much did I end up receiving? I ended up receiving close to $16,000 for a truck that Kelley Blue Book said was worth $5,000. Now, the question I have for you guys that think about equity and why would somebody do this, write this down. This is the last thing I'll teach you, and then we'll go. I'll let Shonda shut me up. The value of something is never the purchase price. The value of something is what I can do with it. So for me, Jose, did he overpay for my truck? Yeah, maybe if I'm a traditional person living my little traditional life, maybe. But the reality is Jose is a smart businessman. He said, I own my own painting company. I'm going to buy your F-150 for $1,000, no credit check, and you're going to let me go make money with this. And Jose became a friend of my family. It made $350 payments to me every month. He went out and made $6,000, $7,000 a month using that truck and putting a crew inside of it to go paint houses. His net profit on that truck was $6,000 to $7,000 a month. Did he overpay for that asset? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, he did not. He didn't get it. That's seller finance. I sold that F-150 on seller finance, and I created a promissory note. I created documents and paperwork that protect both of us. I made sure there was a tracker and all the things for you overthinkers over here thinking, oh my gosh, well, what happened? What happened to the truck? You're overthinking it. Probably similar to some of the things that you're doing in your life. You're overthinking a lot of things. Okay. So seller financed that truck. And Susan was like, oh my gosh, so you can pay me $110,000. And I said, as long as you give me the terms I need. Okay. So pay attention. I'll be done in less than 45 seconds. So Susan says, done. I'll do it all day long. Just like I've done thousands of these. Susan says, okay, so I'm the bank and I'm going to seller finance you. And I go, yep, you're going to seller finance me. She goes, okay, then I want a down payment and I want an interest. I go, okay, well, what down payment you want? She goes, I want 20 grand down and I want 8% interest. And I said the same thing I said to Janie Munson. Remember Janie Munson with the bunnies? I said to Susan, I said, I'm probably not your buyer. I can't help you. And I physically stood back in the appointment. She goes, wait. Well, what would you do? And I said, well, here's the thing, Susan, if this negotiation is like a seesaw, you want a really high purchase price. I want a low down payment and a low interest rate, right? So what's more important to you? Do you want a down payment and an interest rate, or do you want a high purchase price? She says, I want a high purchase price. I go, okay. In my mind, I've already built in your interest. So I bought this house, just like I buy a lot of houses, at what interest rate? 0% interest, principal only. I buy so many houses on principal only, it's ridiculous. No interest whatsoever. So while everybody else is squabbling about the Fed rate and this, that, and the other, it's like Shonda says earlier, she's like, I don't look at gas prices. I don't look at interest rates. I don't play that game. I am so far away from the interest rate game. I buy these deals 0%. So let me show you guys something. Even the greatest thing. Elizabeth says, wait, I'm lost. Elizabeth, tell me where you're lost. Tell me something where you're lost. I'll show you the note that we created, okay? The greatest part about this is that Susan says to me, she says, well, I want a down payment. I go, okay, well, I'll give you a down payment. But here's what I want. I want you to even seller finance the down payment to me. Okay, so let me walk you through this. Let's see. Ooh, there it is. I haven't looked at this in a bit, but it's right here. So she says, I want a down payment. And I go, well, I don't want to give you a down payment right now because I just don't have the money right now. I always negotiate from a place of me not having money. My best deals have always come from when I tell the seller, I don't have any capital right now. We're going to have to figure this out without a down payment. Okay. And she says, okay, we can figure that out, but I still want my down payment. I go, great. Will you let me give my down payment to you over time? So here's the purchase. Here's the contract right here. This is the promissory note. Look at this. Dale and Susan Poyer, $100,000 is the purchase price with a $10,000 down payment. Now let's notice this. I've done this 1,000 times. I bought the property on what date, everybody? March 31st, 2020. When was my first down payment due? $5,000 was due 6 months after I bought the property. The next part of the down payment was due 6 months after that. By the way, look at my interest rate, 0%, 20 years for 240 payments. And there's my payment, $375 a month. Okay. So check this out. I'll tell you where the 375 came from, and I'll tell you, and I promise, Shonda, I'm done in literally 1 minute. So she says to me, she goes, so you'll still give me my 10,000? I go, yep. So check this out. She had a tenant living in the property. $1,650 a month is what they were bringing in. My $375 monthly payment to Susan, and then another $225 a month in taxes, insurance, and miscellaneous stuff. Okay. I was netting cash flow on this property, $1,050 every month. So if my down payment to her was $5,000 every 6 months, how much money did I have in my pocket to pay her down payment? I had $6,000 plus dollars, and I took out $5,000 of the cash flow that her tenants gave me, and I paid her down payment. Guys, it's free. This is free real estate. Like, she paid the closing costs. I took the deal. Why? Okay. Why did we settle on $375 payments? It's because I found the bunnies. You know what her bunnies were? Dale and Susan wanted nothing more but to retire, drive around the country in their RV, not worry about collecting rent from a tenant, dealing with repairs from a tenant, doing any of this kind of stuff. So she says, what would you make me in a payment? I go, let me ask you a question. How much does it cost you to rent out an RV spot for a month across the country? She says our average is $375 a month. I go, why don't we just make our payment to $375? And then that way you don't have to ever pay another RV spot ever again in your life. She's like, done. The most important lesson I ever learned in real estate is that there is no limit in real estate. And that as long as I'm finding the bunnies and I'm doing a win-win situation, I can gobble up real estate. I can do this even if I don't want to hold the real estate. I can get the contract on these types of deals and sell them off, make hundreds of thousands of dollars. The biggest deal I did this year, I made $196,000 on, it was a deal. I go, I don't want this deal. It's in a state I don't buy in. So I assigned it to somebody else that bought it, and they paid me $196,000. I don't even have to be the person holding the real estate. So you guys want to get chunks of freaking cash? You guys want to get cash flow? You want to get tax benefits? It is the single greatest thing you could ever do in your life is own real estate. There's nothing greater than real estate. Nothing. So I could go on and on and on. These are just a couple of thousands of stories I could tell you, and breakdowns and showing you paperwork and how this all technically works. But I've already stolen literally an hour of time.
So good, you guys. How amazing was this? So I've been looking on the other platforms, and everybody is just like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So Pace, I just want to say thank you. And Pace and I are having conversations about what we can do we both have similar hearts to move people into the right neighborhoods, right? Get you at the right tables in the right neighborhoods. So we know that we have a lot of you guys who are interested in learning more about this. And I loved your generous offer, Pace. I literally messaged him and said, for all the people who jumped into HCL Hardcore Leadership, put HCL, who jumped into HCL Hardcore Leadership, put HCL. There's so many people who jumped in this week, which was so beautiful. And I said, Pace, would you give them something? Like, could you give them something? And I said, I know that you guys jump and do these marathon calls, and we started doing a little bit of that here, but how many of you guys would like to know, like, if you've got a good deal, right? Or even get into a deal flow. How many of you guys are serious about creating some wealth with real estate? Put me. How many of you guys are serious about creating some wealth with real estate? Put me. Super good. So Pace, can you just explain for all the people who jumped in already this week and anybody who's jumping in today, we're shutting down this offer. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll just explain it really quickly for anybody who just is tuning in today and wasn't part of this week. We have a leadership program that before we ever owned it, I had enrolled about 144 people of our clients inside of a couple days really to go do this leadership program, because just like we're experiencing here at Pace, I asked our coaching department and they're saying things like, well, I'm not sure if I want to jump into Shanda's leadership program or whatever it is she's offering because I don't really know her. I don't know Pace either, right? It's like, you don't know the buyer, you don't know the seller, like it's like another thing that people said was, I don't know how to, I need more details, that overthinking conversation, or I'm so busy, right? So that's all leadership stuff. When I got into real estate, I was in a BlackBerry like this thinking I was important, and I never looked up to figure out how to understand this stuff until I did. And then when I did, my whole leadership context changed because my coach at the time walked out on me in Starbucks and said, you're not even going to get out there and cold call. You're not going to get out there and knock on doors. Like if you're not able to do that stuff, if you can't get yourself to do that stuff, it's not going to work. When I got into real estate, I literally, you're going to laugh at this Pace. I literally went to, well, first I did the leadership program. I didn't own it at that time. And then I went and I got a real estate mentor. And at that time I lived in Vegas, and I actually wrote on neon signs, I buy homes, and here's my phone number. And I had somebody drive a car, and I would go to intersections and I would slam it into the intersection, and within a couple hours the city would take them down. But by then I had all these phone numbers of people that were blowing up my phone that wanted deals. And I was $21,000 to get that mentor at the time, and I made that money back in 60 days. But I think what it really I got back was my confidence, that I knew that I could do it. So for you guys who don't know what our leadership program is, it's really for anybody who you're starting things, but you're not finishing them, or you have a next gear. And so you can go see all the details on the page. I'm not going to go over it. There's videos on the page, there's everything. But at the end of the day, my husband and I wouldn't be married if it wasn't for the leadership program. I can tell you that 100%. We didn't know how to communicate with each other. We didn't know how to get on the same team. That was before we ever owned it as well. And then I had a bunch of entrepreneurs that basically they would get to $200,000 or $300,000 a year, and they wouldn't push past that. Or they would do this thing where they'd say, I got mine, I'm good. And I'm like, you're not safe at $300,000 a year. I'm sorry, like you're just not safe at $300,000 a year. You need to earn more. You need to take care of family members. There's donations that need to be made. We just sent $30,000 to somebody the other day that it was just like, thank you for just being an awesome person towards their charity, or $100,000 to Toys for Tots. And I'm not saying that to say it like brag and boast. I'm saying that because when you develop a heart of contribution, it starts to become like this calling to show up for not just you and your family, but for other people. And then you start to infiltrate your community. Like it's really incredible when the people around you start seeing that you can be the type of leader that can take Pace's advice and just go do it, and not be like, well, what they said. It's like, just go in there and try. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to learn until you actually go and do it. So if you go to joinhclnow.com, we're going to shut down this offer. The offer is still available today. We discounted it by 50%. There's 2 options to buy. There's 2 workshops in it, 2 intensives, vision and breakthrough. Practice is where 99% of our clients hit the results. So in other words, if you say, like I said, I was like, I want to meet my husband. And my whole company was like, you don't even have a boyfriend. I'm gonna meet my husband. I met him in 90 days. And it was because of my leadership. I started to lead gen men, but I went and got help, because I'm telling you, everything I look through is business. I needed to lead gen men, and I needed to practice stop discounting them, because every man in my ecosystem was not my husband. How many ladies, you've been there? It's like, not my husband, not my husband, not my husband. That's not my deal. That's not my deal. That's not my deal. I can't sell my product at that price. I can't. It's like this constant resist. That's all leadership. It needs to be cleaned out, right? And you can do it the long way, which is trial and error, or you can do it the quick way, which is joinhclnow.com, right? So normally it's a $5,000 program. We 50% discounted it, our gift to you. And then we got you for 4 months next year. There's a course every single month. It doesn't really matter what your schedule looks like. There's a course every single month. I don't care which one you take. I would take earlier in the year so that you can accelerate your results quicker. You can take action a lot quicker. So 99% of our clients get the results. It's also our highest income earning entrepreneurs have done that program. I send our entire company here at Hardcore through, here comes my son. This is what I love. I love that my son comes in. Hey. Okay, say hello.
I need a rubber band.
Say hello. Say hello.
Come on.
What's up?
Is
need a
that
rubber
okay?
band.
Leah will help you.
Handsome
Leah will
guy,
help you.
living that beach life probably.
Yes. Zachy, she'll help you. She'll help you, sweetheart. Sorry about that, you guys. Sorry about that, guys. So anyway, so if you go to joinhclnow.com, I won't overtalk it. I'm just saying that it's the best thing that I've ever done for my life, and it will accelerate whatever result or goal you're trying to do. If you need me to be the bank, there's a 3-pay option. I'll finance you. If you don't need me to the bank, then on top of the 1-pay option, our team will get on a call with you and will 100% work with you to develop a plan for next year. Now, I just read something by Peter Diamandis. Some of you guys who got our pocket coaching yesterday, I was just studying some stuff that Peter Diamandis put out. If you don't know who he is, he's a billionaire, he's a smart dude, and he's saying in the next 3 years, the artificial intelligence world is going to completely shift and change. Like it's going to, and I'm telling you, like, whether it's Uber, whether it's, you know, checking into a restaurant or a hotel, everything's automated. Walk into Whole Foods, it's like there's more checkouts. I was just in Florida, and there's more checkouts on, like, you're checking out your own stuff. There's like 3 people cashiers, and there's like 17 or 20 checkouts. My point is the world's going in that way. What's the difference is leadership, right? Like when I'm listening to Pace talk, the way he's leading his thoughts and his actions, and the way he's taking action, the way he parents, the way he husbands, all of that stuff is our leadership. And if you want to do it quicker, you want to clean it out. So you can test the program, rock it out. And if you don't like it by the end of the second intensive vision breakthrough, I'll just give you your money back. If you're like, you know what, this doesn't work for me, Shanda, I've tried things in the past and it's never worked, I reverted back, you won't have that with our program. Right? But if you say it doesn't work, I'll give you your cash back. Second thing is that on January 3rd, I'm going to spend an entire day. It was actually inspired by Pace. And I said it the other day, I said, I'll spend an entire day and I'll create your money plans. There isn't one business I have ever come up with that I've ever looked at that I haven't been able to figure out how to create cash injections. And I've been telling you for 6 months, get ready to have cash injections to go into the market. Right? Go into the real estate market, stretch, get into something. I want to go into multiple door deals. That's why I went to Pace and I was like, let's talk for next year. You guys have been following me. I've been saying, I'm going to make sure we create some alliances for next year that your real estate agent won't get. Right? That's all leadership. It's vision. And when your vision is just to sell a product, your vision is just to make a little bit of money, or your vision is to just retire, you're losing the game. It's got to be much bigger for you to get yourself up to go. Procrastination is a problem for people who are bored. So if you procrastinate, it's not that you have a problem, you have a vision problem. Nothing's pulling you forward, but the world has told you something's wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't been taught to show up as the leader that you are and to play the game that's big enough. So go to joinhclnow.com. Pace, you threw in what for everybody who jumped in today and jumps in?
So I mean, I could tell you, hey, I'll let you guys come into my weekly calls. My problem is I do 25 support calls a week with my students. And so I don't want to do that because they're big. They're like 700, 800, 900 people are on these support calls. What I'll do specifically for anybody that joins HCL, I will do just private Zooms with you guys for the next 8 weeks. I'll do like 2 hours, and I'll build a whole entire module series with Shanda and the team. I'll come in for 2 hours, so it's smaller, more people can ask questions. I don't go too fast, because if you jump into my world, I mean, you're jumping into the middle of a NASCAR track. You know what I'm saying? You're like, it's fast and we're advanced. I will dumb it down. I'll tell it stories and I'll build it up so that by the time I'm in my 4th training with you guys are like, holy moly, I'm fully empowered. I've got all the basics from all the way from bunnies and just telling me basic stories all the way to now I understand where these deals come from. I understand the paperwork. I understand where I can go do these things. I know how to go. I can go get a check. I'll do that just for you guys. I won't bring you into my world. I'll create a new world just for Shanda, and I'll give you guys 2 hours a week for, let's say, 8 weeks or so.
Wow, that's so powerful. Okay, you guys. So there you got it. So we're going to flip over to VIP right now. So we're going to turn off the lives and all the social platforms. You heard it out of Pace's mouth. We'll show you how to create cash flow. We'll show you how to get way ahead. And it really matters who you're hanging out with. That's why Pace is here. I know a lot of people in the real estate market. He's here because I like what he's doing. So he's smart. He knows what he's doing. He's got a proven track record, and he's got the deals that the real estate agents don't have. So lots of love to you. I hope that this was powerful. And this is a wrap.